am so excited to be here. Welcome to the She Is Me Summit and welcome to Building Unshakable Belief in You. My name is Jodie Solberg and I am a mental wellness coach as well as a licensed and certified master hypnotherapist. And I have been working therapeutically now for over 20 years. And I've been coaching professional women. And I have so much to share with you today about building that belief in yourself and why that is so important. I started my career really working with people who were going through trauma, with children, with families, with couples, with individuals. And what I've learned in working with professionals in their businesses and with working with all of those different families going through crisis and trauma and addiction is that mindset and mental health and wellness are key, no matter what area we're talking about in our lives. And so I want to share today a little bit about my journey of really finding my unshakable belief in my own self. And then I also want to share with you how you can do that as well, because we have so much more in common than we ever have as our differences. And what I do in my practice in Psyched Up Success is I do help people to build that sense of identity and belief in themselves, to heal from trauma, to reduce their stress and anxiety, beat burnout, and create work-life harmony. So you can have the definition of success that means the most to you. And so what I've found is that people tend to look at others and we compare ourselves. We look at others and we think that other people have just always been that way. They've always been really confident. They've always been really successful, or they think that it happened overnight. And we never get to see the work. We never see the daily decisions and choices and intentions that go into big changes. So, we'll see someone on social media or someone will see me as now an author and a speaker, and they'll think, oh, she just must have always been that way. She must have always loved speaking in front of groups. And it's not true at all. It couldn't be further from the truth. It truly takes small steps, expanding your comfort zone bit by bit to make changes. It's just we see the highlight reel of people's lives, right? We see a before and an after, but we don't see that daily intentional work in between. So that you know a little bit more about me and my background, I did grow up as a very quiet, shy, reserved introvert, still an introvert, and intuitive empath who was just highly emotional and terrified of speaking in front of crowds, of video cameras. And I loved helping people though. And I always wanted to learn more about people. People were drawn to me to tell me their stories. I was just this natural caregiver, this natural counselor for people growing up. I remember when I was in high school, there was a death in our school. So one of our fellow students tragically passed away in an accident. And I was asked to be a peer counselor because all of the teachers were seeing the kids gravitate towards me and how I was supporting them and how I was helping them. And so it was just really natural for me to want to go into the health and wellness field and be a therapist. And I also had a really strong intuition. That's the other thing I want to tell you. I had a really strong core of who I was. And that was actually instilled in me. I was very fortunate that it was encouraged to have my own mind and my own thoughts and my own beliefs and to be independent. And so I was very strong in who I was and my sense of self. But I had to build the outward confidence. So I knew who I was and what I believed and what I wanted to do on the inside, but I really had to build the outside up. We're all on our own journey. And my growth came in stepping into my power through my inner motivation to help others. It really did grow bit by bit. When I was becoming a therapist and working with the couples and the families and the kids, I was working with individuals and then I built into leading groups, working with families, right? That's a small group. And then leading groups in nonprofits and parenting training programs and teen after school and group homes. And I really just baby stepped my way. I just expanded my comfort zone. I remember when I started grad school for clinical psychology and we had to videotape our sessions, and I would shake and tear up with a video camera in my face. So isn't it amazing, right, that I'm here with you all today? But what I figured out was my comfort zone. Expanding that started with the video camera going in the corner, the top like corner of the room, so it wasn't right in my face, and videotaping those sessions, and everyone had to sit around, and there was this big table with students and teachers, and we had to watch the videos and we had to get the critiques, and that was so hard. But you know what? My motivation for helping people and what I wanted to do was so strong. I was willing to go through that. I was willing to do that. And so bit by bit, I learned and I grew and I become better at speaking in front of people. And so I want to tell you that, people see me today and they think, I'm just outgoing and that I can speak in front of crowds and I must have always been natural at that, but they don't realize the years of all those steps that I took. I started coaching with female entrepreneurs when I was in grad school to become a therapist because I wanted to pay off my 6 figures in student loans. And so I ended up really through that business, again, building the skills, really growing that comfort zone because I was starting to do networking. And so I'd get up and I'd say my name and what I did, and I'd sit back down. And then eventually I was training and talking. So maybe a 10-minute speech in front of people. And then the groups got bigger and they got bigger. And of course, now virtually, oh my goodness, the reach is unimaginable. It's limitless at this point. And so now that I've grown into that over 20 years, right, I've gotten to where I am today as a best-selling author and as a speaker who's spoken in global summits like this and all sorts of different venues. But it's that behind the scenes consistent work of slowly expanding my comfort zone and building on my own strengths and focusing on the growth and progress that has taken me to where I am today. Having not just that inward confidence in who I am, but that unshakable belief in myself and having emotional strength and resilience. That's something else that I had to learn along the way, is that I was highly emotional. And as an intuitive empath, I had to build boundaries for myself. I had to learn how to strengthen my emotions, how to rest and restore and recharge my own energy, and how to have that resilience and bounce back ability so that no matter what happens in life, I know that I've got this. And so today, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to share how you can build that for yourself. And so I want to remind you of a quote you may have heard before, and it's from Henry Ford. And he said, "Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right." And it's so true because what we believe in ourselves, we actually work to make true. Your subconscious mind actually will work to prove whatever you say to be the truth. And so if you say something about yourself that you're like, I'm horrible at this, or I can't do that, our subconscious minds will block us and keep us from moving forward. As someone who's been a hypnotherapist also for over 20 years now, it was really important to me to really tap into that power of the subconscious mind for myself and for my clients to help them to really get down to what those core beliefs are, what those beliefs that were limiting them and keeping them from really truly being confident in and believing in themselves and going for their goals. There's that part of yourself that will try to protect you, protect you from the rejection or feeling bad or perceived failures. And so it's so important to get that part of yourself on board to work towards something. And so I'm going to be sharing that here in a little bit about how you can do that. But I'd like first to talk about some of the building blocks that I think are important in believing in yourself. And the first one is going to be your mental preparation, right? Really being more self aware, I think, is always the first step because we need to recognize, right, what areas are we growing in? What areas need growth and what to focus on? So, what are those things for you? For me, it was really obvious. It was being so shy. And I remember when I was growing up, the kids, and they were my friends. I always, was friends with a lot of different kinds of people. And again, I was always very interested in people and cared a lot about them. But they were concerned about me, and they would say, you put your head down when you walk in a room. Because I was so shy and I didn't have that outward confidence. And so, when they would say, like, hey, this is something that we notice, something that you can work on, that was an obvious thing. Or the shaking and the crying in front of the cameras, right? Those were obvious things that I could grow in. But what are those things for you? What are those things that are going to help you? I needed to work on my emotional management and my energy management, being an empath. That was really important. So, what are those things, those areas that you can grow in? And then also recognizing, what your strengths are, what those things are about you that you are natural at. So you can develop those, right? Those are also areas of growth. And then physically setting yourself up for success, taking good care of yourself. I mentioned energy management, knowing what you need, what your body needs in order for you to feel at your best, right? For you to feel your most confident. Our thoughts and our emotions and our physiology are completely connected. I always think of it as like a little triangle, right? With your thoughts and your emotions and your behaviors or your physiological responses, all connected, all really working together. And so, in order to be mentally and emotionally strong and resilient, we need to have our physical self as at the top of our game as possible. So, taking good care of yourself, getting the sleep, hydrating, feeding yourself properly, movement, all of those good things. So, physically set yourself up and then also set up your environment. If you're feeling really overwhelmed, make sure that your environment isn't overwhelming. Clutter on the outside and clutter on the inside. And it's really important to have something that's pleasing for you. And even if it's just your own space, like a little space where you can do some of this inner work, a place for you, or maybe it's getting out into nature, that really fills your cup. Figure out what those things are for yourself, and then mental rehearsal. In order to be outwardly prepared, sometimes you have to be mentally prepared too. And so practicing, what am I going to say? Making sure that you have everything at your fingertips so you can be confident in whatever situation you're going into and have that belief in yourself that, I'll figure it out. And just remembering that we're real people too. Nothing's going to go perfectly exactly the way that you thought it was going to. But if you mentally rehearse and you're mentally prepared for different outcomes and different options, you can really feel like, hey, I've got this. And you can have some great belief in yourself. And then remembering that it's all about that journey. That practice equals progress. Was I perfect the first time I went and spoke in front of other people? Absolutely not. Am I still perfect now every time I speak in front of people? No, but it's okay. Right? Practice equals progress. And so focusing on the progress and the process of growing and becoming better versus the perfection is so important. When we focus on things having to be perfect all of the time, it can undermine our belief in ourselves because we're giving ourselves an unattainable standard. And so, really, gaining confidence through taking action is so important because every time you take a step, every time you get a win, you build the confidence and belief in yourself that you can do it and you can take that next step. And then I talked about stretching my comfort zone. So stretching your comfort zone and focusing on your own growth is so important. When we think about going outside of our comfort zone, we think like jumping into the deep end of the pool, right? That's not what it's about. It's about dipping your toe in and then getting acclimated and then going a little further up to your ankles and getting acclimated and then maybe up to your knees and then up to your waist, and then you can go all in. But it takes time and it takes getting acclimated at each step. And that's exactly what it was like for me, and building that belief in myself that I could be a public speaker, that I could put myself out there. It was stretching. It wasn't just jumping in from shaking and crying in front of a camera to then being live in front of 20,000 people. It really was incremental. It was like in one person and then two people and then a small group. And then it got bigger and bigger and bigger. So look at how you can stretch your comfort zone just a little bit each time until you can get acclimated, and then add more and just focus on growing and becoming better and really accepting new challenges, and accepting those things that, would sound fun, but right, if you say that to yourself, just say yes and do it and try it and see what it's like. And remember, you can just dip your toe in and then get more and more comfortable with it. And then look for the lesson. It's really, really key to think of every single interaction or every single experience as something that has a lesson in it. So it could be that you win and it's great. Everything goes the way you wanted it to. What can you learn from that? How can you build your confidence through that? Or what can you take that worked well and use it in the future? Or perhaps it didn't go the way that you wanted to. What can you learn from that? It's really important to look at those experiences that don't go as well as you wanted them to as a learning experience, as a way to have a lesson in there that you can take forward and you can grow from it. It's not a failure unless you don't learn from it. So look for those lessons and then make sure that you are getting the mentorship and the support that you need. As you're building this unshakable belief in yourself, it might not be so unshakable at the beginning. And it's really important to have the right people around you to support you. You're taking these baby steps. And so reach out for mentorship and support as needed. There are people out there who can be on the outside looking in. I always think of it as the snow globe of our lives. There you've got the snow globe and you shake it up and there's a blizzard in there, and that blizzard is your life and you're in the middle of it. And when somebody can see from the outside, and that's what I do with my clients, for example, is I give them that outside perspective of, hey, these are some things that look like they're going on or that you might need support around. Let's work all through that together. And I can bring them to the outside perspective and help them see what's going on that's really hard for them to see on their own. So mentorship and support in all different areas that you want to grow in is really key, so that you can feel like you have a safe place to grow and you can get that outer perspective. And just focusing on your strengths and then utilizing the strengths of others. So I mentioned earlier, know what your strengths are. Definitely focus on those and realize that we don't have to do everything. Having unshakable belief in yourself doesn't mean you believe you can do everything all of the time, all by yourself. That is not necessary, nor is it sustainable. So it's really important to realize that you can utilize the strengths of other people, that you can get that outside support, that you can have other people be empowered by being that support person for you. And so really realizing that your strengths are unique and they're really important, and there are things that you're really good at, and that's where you are at your best, and that other people's strengths are theirs also for a reason, instead of comparing your strengths to other people's or comparing your perceived weaknesses to other people's strengths. You're going to be able to really believe in who you are. And that has been huge for me. realizing that all these things that just came second nature to me that I didn't even realize sometimes were strengths. I always knew that empathy was my greatest strength. If you went back all the way, like 25 years, so all those entrance exams and all of the interviews and things for me to become a therapist, like that was what I would always say was my greatest strength. But I also have strengths in things like strategy and my love of learning, that including being an includer. Inclusion is something that's a really high value to me, and it's also a strength. And so I have several strengths that I didn't even realize were strengths because it was just who I was. And so start looking inside to focus on what those are and be proud of them and feel really good about them and allow other people to play in their lane. And then I want you to look at the root, and what I call that kind of root of where that lack of confidence might be coming from. If you're not believing in yourself, if you're not believing you're worthy or deserving or capable, and look at where that comes from, because sometimes we need to heal that root. I talk to my clients all the time about the weeds. It's those things that pop up and then you mow them back down. And then they pop up and you mow them back down. So think about your yard. If you did that with your weeds in your yard, the weeds always come back. Okay? And you just have to deal with them over and over again. But if you pull that out by the roots, you put some new fresh dirt on there, a little grass seed, right? That weed isn't going to come back anymore. And that's what we need to do with the root cause of where these lacks come from, that our perception that we're lacking, that maybe we think that we're broken or that we're undeserving or that we're incapable, and it's not true, right? It's just coming from something that you need to deal with that keeps coming back up for you over and over again. So what is that for you? Finding that root cause and then getting that mentorship or getting that support in order to deal with that once and for all, so it doesn't keep dealing with you, is really important. So I want you to do some reflection time. If I can encourage you to do anything, it's to reflect and become more self-aware. So go ahead and look at where you've been, where you're at now, and that's going to help you figure out, like, where do you want to go? What changes do you want to make? If you feel like you've been dealing with those same things over and over again, what is it that needs to shift in order for you to create that version of success and that life that you really want? Look at your mindset, look at your self-talk. Does your self-talk match where you want to go in your life? Have you fallen into that New Year's resolution trap, for example, where you set the same goal once a year over and over again, you don't hit it, and so you set it again? And maybe there needs to be something different that's happening. What is that negative self-talk? And what are the beliefs, those core limiting beliefs that are behind those things that you're saying to yourself about what you're capable of, or the belief or lack of belief in yourself that you have? Really, what's keeping you in that loop of dealing with those same things over and over again? Is it that you are focused too much on perfection or those pressures and expectations that you're putting on yourself, or you think others are putting on you, or maybe they did once and now you're continuing them? Okay? Is it too much focus on all or nothing thinking and not focusing on growth? What are those things for you? Really take some time to reflect on that, and then realize that building belief in yourself is really that inside job. And it requires action and intention on the outside, but the core work is on the inside. And so in order to create more emotional strength and resilience and that really unshakable belief in yourself whenever you're tested, because life is going to happen to every single one of us. And so in order to make sure that you feel like, hey, I've got this, no matter what life throws your way, definitely have those strong support systems. And then if you don't have that in your personal life, there are ways to get it on the outside. Right? There are coaches and counselors or therapists or mentors or people that can help you with that. And then really get to know yourself and who you are. And that is something that as women, we very often lose through all the roles we play in other areas of our lives. And we have our careers, maybe we have businesses, we are partners or moms or daughters and sisters and employees and employers and all of these things. We're community members and we do a lot and we tend to take care of everyone else before us and we don't look for the support for ourselves. So having that support system for you and really getting into touch with who you are, your identity, your values, your strengths, and looking at, are you making decisions and are the things that you are doing right now reflecting what's most important to you? And are they honoring who you are inside as a person, as an individual? We cannot take care of everyone else at our best unless we take care of ourselves first. To really think about that, how important that is. And then incorporating really good, healthy habits to work on your energy management so that you can have strong emotional management. When we're taking care of ourselves on the outside, we have more strength, inner strength on the inside. And that emotional strength and resilience is really important to keep that belief going, to keep building our confidence, making sure that we're recognizing those good things in ourselves. And so that's why I want to talk a little bit about affirmations today, because I feel like a lot of the times the way that we do affirm ourselves, it falls flat. And self-compassion is actually more important than self-esteem. Interesting, right? So self-compassion, that's defined as the ability to forgive yourself for just being human and making mistakes sometimes. And it's more important than self-esteem because there's no real evidence that affirmations saying how awesome you are all of the time are actually effective. So, what I'd like to teach you to focus on today is to focus on growth and progress and self compassion, because that's what is really going to give you the results. And so, how you do that is by first really looking at those self talk statements I mentioned a couple minutes ago, right? Write down your self talk. We're going to do some reflecting time. So, write down what you're saying to yourself and the themes that are coming up for you throughout the day. Now, it's not going to take you that long because the same thoughts we thought yesterday are the thoughts we thought the day before and the day before and then the day before that. The majority of those tend to be negative. And there's going to be some core central themes in there. So go ahead and look at that, write down the things you say to yourself, good and bad. Okay? Do the positive too, over just the next few days without editing and without judgment, right? This is just being a detective. It's just out of curiosity. We're just going to write it down and then you're going to go back later and you're going to examine those things for their usefulness. And you're going to see if you need to make some shifts based on if that's helpful for you or not, right? Is it, helping you to have those thoughts or is it hurting you? And so, like I said, you'll see some common themes in there. So you'll notice what those are. And so, what are those things that you're saying to yourself? And how do they reflect confidence and belief in yourself or the lack of it? Right? Are they showing that you believe in you? Or are they showing that you don't believe in yourself? And then once you figure that out, then once you see those common themes, can boil that down to what are those limiting beliefs? What are those core beliefs about yourself, your situation, the world around you, others that are coming up for you? What underlying beliefs can you really identify in the way that you're talking to yourself? And this is where the self-compassion is going to come in, and how we're going to affirm ourselves in a new and more effective way. And so I want you to take those statements, those things you were saying to yourself, and I want you to do a little role playing with yourself. And so you're going to say the statement out loud. A lot of times we're just thinking them in our head. We're not actually saying them out loud to ourselves. And sometimes, honestly, just in saying them out loud to yourself, you'll be appalled. It will sound wrong just coming out of your mouth. All the things that you thought in your head that were negative, you'll be like, wow, I can't believe I said that to myself. But if you're not there yet, then imagine them being said to someone else. So let's say, you are saying to yourself, oh, why are you so stupid? I can't believe you did that. Would you say that to a friend? Would you say, oh my gosh, why are you so stupid? I can't believe you did that. Chances are you would not say that to a friend, right? You wouldn't. So imagine that. And then I want you to flip it. I want you to imagine your friend saying that about herself to you. You overhear her saying, oh my gosh, I'm so stupid. I can't believe I just did that. What would you say? Whatever those statements are for you, what would you say back out of compassion to that person? Say, because you know her, she's your friend, and you would say, no, no, absolutely not. You are not a stupid person in any way, shape, or form. You just made a mistake. It's okay. You can do it differently next time. Everything's figure outable and fixable. It's fine. Right? So those can be compassionate statements that you can say back then to yourself the next time you hear that self-talk. And now that you're aware of it, you'll be able to catch it sooner. And when you do say those things, because they're thought patterns and habits, and they will come up and they've been formed over years and decades. And so likely things will come up over and over and over again. But this time, instead of just accepting it as truth, and your subconscious just saying, okay, I guess we're just stupid, we don't know how to do that, you're going to catch yourself and you're going to have something that you can say back to that part of your mind that's hypercritical and hypervigilant and blocking you at every turn. And you can come back and say, you know what? No, I'm not. I believe in myself. I am not stupid. I can figure this out. I can learn from what just happened, and I can do it differently next time so that next time it will go better. Okay? Doesn't that feel so much better than just accepting that you can't do it and you're horrible at something and putting yourself down, right? So now that we have a comeback for when the negative self-talk comes up, we're going to develop some more proactive affirming statements. And so, like I said, instead of just acting as if we're perfect all of the time and we've arrived already, what I'd like to teach you is I'd like to teach you to write affirming statements that are going to be believable and effective to your subconscious. Because again, whatever we tell our subconscious mind, right, whatever we're thinking, whatever we're saying, we're working to make it true. So why not give it something to do? Instead of just sitting back and accepting that we can't do it, we're horrible at that, and we're not worthy, we don't deserve it, all of those horrible things, let's give it something to focus on that's positive and to move towards. Let's give it a job. And so these affirming statements, we want to start with I am, right? Whatever we tell ourselves we are becomes true. So I am, and then we're going to focus on growth though. So this is going to be the key here. So you're going to be growing, becoming, working towards, we're going to be doing something, learning, all of those kinds of words. So we're going to say, I am becoming. So let's say you told yourself, hey, oh, I'm just such a mess. I'm never going to be organized. Maybe that's what you're telling yourself. Like, I'm just horrible at organization. I can't do it. So perhaps you decide that you're going to become more organized. And so you say, I am becoming more and more organized every single day, or I am learning to become more organized every single day. I'm working towards getting my house more organized every single day. Those types of statements are going to help counteract those limiting beliefs those negative and core beliefs that you identified earlier, that maybe you were a disorganized person and you were taking that on as your identity, going to challenge the thoughts behind that. We're going to say, you know what? I can learn how to become organized. I can figure this out. I've got this. And that, to me, truly is what unshakable belief is about, that you believe that everything is figure outable. It's not being a narcissist and thinking that you're just like the end all be all and fabulous all of the time. That's not what it's about. It's about you knowing that no matter what, you can handle it. That no matter what, you've got this. You can figure it out. You can learn. You can grow. You can become better. Or you can find somebody else that's good at it to help you. And that, to me, truly is the kind of belief that's really impactful and really important. And that's what I was able to do for myself, is to say, you know what? I can be others focused when I'm speaking. I can focus on my inner vision and my purpose for wanting to get these messages out to other people. I can realize and give myself compassion that I am human and I'm going to make mistakes. And you know what? It's good to show other people that too. It's good to show other people that I'm not perfect, because I don't expect them to be perfect. And that kind of pressure and expectation is not good for anyone. And I want to model for other people that they can do it too. And so for me, that's how I was able to build that belief in myself, is through realizing that that wasn't going to serve me. Those types of thoughts, those worries, those limiting beliefs, the negative self-talk, right? That wasn't serving and supporting me in what I truly wanted to do, that vision for my life and how I wanted to help others. And so really looking at, what do you want, right? How are you feeling and what are you believing? And what do you choose to believe different? How do you want to feel? And how can you make the shift? This is how you can make those shifts. And so remember, it's all about trusting yourself that you've got this, right? Focusing on growth, doing those affirmations, putting them into a daily routine. I'm a big believer in bookending your days. And by that, I mean morning and evening, right? Like little bookends where you start and end your day on a really good positive note. So do the affirmations, think about those things, or write down the things that did go well today and the things that you learned. I actually recently developed a journal. So I'm putting out a journal that's all about looking for the lessons. And there's prompts in it that are all about how you can look for the lessons in life and how you can actually look at what went well, but then what didn't. What were the challenges and what can you learn from them? And really challenging some of that self-talk that you have and putting mindfulness into practice as well. And when you're setting yourself up in the morning and you're ending your day in the evening, those really positive practices are really, really important. Making sure that you stay in the present, where you spend so much time worried about the future, anxiety or stressed or guilty or feeling shame about the past. And you know what? It's in the past. And so focusing on the present, focusing on what you're grateful for now, focusing on what you're working towards, what you're doing that's going to help you get towards that, and how you can build your confidence and your belief in yourself each and every day is going to take you so far, and it is going to serve and support you so much better than all of those negative things that you have been saying to yourself. So what I'd like to really invite you and encourage you to do is visit my website, psychedupsuccess.com, and there you can access my free guides. I have a guide to mastering mindfulness, which is an incredible guide for you to be able to take some of the top tips that I give to my clients to help them to stay present in the moment, to bring themselves out of that anxiety or that stress and really relieve that and be able to focus on the positive and focus on building that belief in yourself. And that's going to be a great resource for you. You can also, if you'd like some more support, you'd like to learn more about this topic and learn more about what I do, you can find that on the Work with Jodie page on my website, and you are invited to book a free call with me. You can also order any of my books or my new journal. And so I just want to say thank you so much for being here with me today. I hope that this really helped you to be able to know how to tangibly build that really unshakable belief in yourself, because know that none of us have arrived. We all are on a continual journey. I'm still on it every single day, and we're in it together. You are absolutely not alone. Thank you again, and I wish you all the best.